បាទជំរាបសួរទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីមេត្រីបាទថ្ងៃនេះយើងមានសេចក្តីសោមនស្សរីករាយយ៉ាងខ្លាំងដែលយើងបានអញ្ជើញលោក Alex Villanueva មកចូលរួមធ្វើហៅថា Townhall meeting បានន័យថាយើងបើមានសំណួរអ្វីចម្ងល់អ្វីអំពីការដូចជាមានអក្រិតកម្មកើតឡើងនៅក្នុងសង្គមយើងអាចសួរគាត់បានថាក៏តើគាត់អាចជួយអ្វីបានយើងខ្លះបើសិនជាមានអ្វីកើតឡើងបាទហើយដូច្នេះសូមបាយអារម្មណ៍ទូទៅមកជួបជាមួយនឹងលោក Alex Villanueva Mr. Alex please
Hi there.
Hello thank you very much sir for coming Okay everybody អ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នានេះគឺលោក Alex Villanueva គាត់គឺជាតំណាងគាត់គឺជាប្រធាន Sheriff នៅ County LA ហើយក៏ជានៅក្នុង Bellflower ហើយនឹង Lakewood ផងដែរហើយមិនមែនហើយនឹងទីក្រុង LA យ៉ាងធំបាទហើយដូច្នេះយើងចង់មានបើមានចម្ងល់អ្វីយើងអាចសួរទៅលោក Alex បានថាតើគាត់អាចជួយអ្វីខ្លះបើដល់យើងបានហើយដូច្នេះបើសិនជាមានអ្នកណាមានសំណួរតែឥឡូវនេះសូមឲ្យគាត់មានភាសាអង់គ្លេសជួយសិនបាទ Can you please give a few words first before we start asking you question please so that some people that don't know who you are probably but I'm pretty sure everybody knows so please give a few words to our audience
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Thank you for coming here today. This is a very auspicious occasion. I get a chance to speak with the Cambodian community here and the ones that are, I know you have some from Long Beach here, some from local areas as well, Bellflower. And you've had experiences in the past about what didn't go right with law enforcement, particularly during the riots in 2020. And we want to make sure that never happens again. And we believe that law and order is important to have a civil society where everyone can thrive. You can raise a family, you can have a business prosper, and you're not worried about having it all just taken out from under you because someone doesn't want to follow the rule of law. So my role as Sheriff of LA County is to keep all 10 million residents safe. Everybody. Doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak, what's your citizenship status, or your religious status, none of that matters. What counts is you're here in LA, now let's keep everyone safe. So with that, more than happy to take questions.
Thank you, sir. We're going to have her translate a little bit for what you said. We have two translators sitting over there, so please go ahead.
ចាជំរាបសួរថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំឈ្មោះ Alex Villanueva ហើយខ្ញុំជា Sheriff នៅប្រចាំ LA County ហើយខ្ញុំបានចូលនៅក្នុងបម្រើនៅការងារនេះតាំងពីឆ្នាំ2010ហើយខ្ញុំបម្រើការងារនៅទីក្រុង Long Beach របស់យើងហើយនឹងតំបន់ Bellflower នេះផងដែរហើយខ្ញុំគ្រាន់តែចង់និយាយថាខ្ញុំធ្វើការបម្រើនេះគឺសម្រាប់ប្រជាជនទាំងអស់ហើយក្នុងនោះមានប្រជាជនប្រហែលជា10លាននាក់ដែលរស់នៅក្នុងតំបន់ដែលខ្ញុំត្រួតត្រាហើយខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យប្រជាជនទាំងអស់ហើយនឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គឺថារស់នៅយើងចិញ្ចឹមក្រុមគ្រួសារនិងថែទាំក្រុមគ្រួសារនិងរស់នៅដោយមានសុវត្ថិភាពនិងសុខសន្តិភាពចាសូមបន្ថែម
Anyone have a question?
បើសិនជាបងប្អូនមានសំណួរអ្វីគឺអាចសួរគាត់បានចាបើសិនជានិយាយជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសបងប្អូនអាចសួរគាត់ផ្ទាល់ជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសបើសិនជានិយាយជាភាសាខ្មែរនិយាយខ្មែរមកខ្ញុំនឹងបកប្រែជូនគាត់
Yeah, my first question is what's the big hoopla? Obviously, there's a lot of controversy with your handling of certain things with the government in the city and the county. And what's the big deal about all that? And what is your side and your take on all that?
Well, actually, it's pretty simple. About 40 years ago, I believe Sherman Block was sheriff. This goes all the way back to 1982. So yeah, about 40 years ago. Somewhere at that point forward, the sheriff stopped investigating public corruption. Peter Pitches did investigate public corruption, and he was a no-nonsense sheriff. And the Board of Supervisors was afraid of him because he had no hesitation in terms of if they did something wrong and crossed the line, he'd call them out of it. But from Sherman Block forward, all of the sheriffs kind of started just looking the other way and said, well, I'm not going to worry about what the board does. I just work in my own little world. And when that happened, corruption started growing and festering. People got very comfortable in county government, particularly the Board of Supervisors. And they started learning how to line their own pockets, take care of their family, their friends, with contracts, a lot of money. We're not talking hundreds of thousands, not talking millions, we're talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. This has been shifted from the county coffers to the private sector, to the nonprofit world, community-based organizations. All that shadowy world where a lot of money, especially in the homeless industrial complex went, that's where all the money is flowing, but there's no accountability, no transparency. So the district attorney created a public integrity division, supposedly to investigate public corruption. But they didn't. The whole thing was a facade to make people believe that there was somebody did that. Since the Board of Supervisors were never investigated, that's because they were not corrupt. Actually, it was quite the opposite. The federal government started investigating corruption at the county level. Look back at the Lee Baca and Paul Tanaka debacle. That was a federal government had to intervene and handle that. Then you got City Councilman Englander, Huizar, federal government intervention. The raid on the mayor's office and the Department of Water and Power of the city, federal government. The indictment of Mark Ridley Thomas, federal government. You can see where all this is going. It's always the federal government that intervenes. So what exactly is state government and the district attorney and the attorney general doing about public corruption? Turns out nothing. Nothing at all. So it flourished. Just like mushrooms in the dark with water. It grows until it's held accountable. So when you turn on the lights and you start holding people accountable, that was exactly what I did. When I took office, I created a public corruption unit. And their sole goal is to ferret out corruption in all forms of government at the county, from the county level and down below. And that scared the bejesus out of corrupt politicians. So the first thing they did is criticize the sheriff. Oh my God, he has a secret police. He targets his enemies. All this nonsense. It was so secret, I wrote a letter to the Board of Supervisors that told them exactly what we were doing. Literally. I put it in writing. That's how secret it was. It's so secret, the LA Times knows the names of every single one of the investigators. So obviously, it's not a very well kept secret, right? And then the other one is, oh my God, he's targeting his political opponents. It's a conflict of interest. I mean, they're throwing up everything they can to do because they can't escape the simple reality. Everyone is accountable to the rule of law. They thought it was just the sheriff. And they didn't have to be accountable or transparent. It turns out they're the ones that have an issue with accountability and transparency. So we called them out on it. And when we did the warrants on peace over violence that involves Sheila Kuehl, supervisor, Patty Giggins from the Oversight Commission, right away the screams about conflict of interest. What they didn't know is we've invited the Attorney General all along to work with us. When we investigated a breach, a data breach and a burglary that involves the Inspector General, Max Huntsman, we invited and spoke with the Attorney General's office and the FBI. I was there present myself. That was the very first thing we did when we realized something really bad happened. We called them, hey, these are our concerns. Attorney General said, you can investigate it. We're not getting involved. All right. Well, that's a lot to translate. So,
Yes.
you know, make sure I pause. I know that was a mouthful there.
Yes.
All right.
ចាខ្ញុំសំណួរបានសួរគាត់ថាតើធ្វើយ៉ាងណាចំពោះការដែលខាងរដ្ឋាភិបាលនៅទីក្រុងរបស់យើងគឺថាធ្វើការស៊ើបអង្កេតទៅលើរឿងរ៉ាវដែលអំពើពុករលួយនៅក្នុង តំបន់របស់យើងហើយនៅទីក្រុងរបស់យើងហើយគឺថាគាត់ក៏បានរៀបរាប់អំពីប្រវត្តិខ្លះដែលកើតមានឡើងនៅក្នុងតាំងពីឆ្នាំរយៈពេល40ឆ្នាំកន្លងមកហើយក្នុងនោះចាប់តាំងពីឆ្នាំ1982មកម្លេះហើយអំពើពុករលួយនោះគឺថាមានការរាតត្បាតយ៉ាងច្រើននៅក្នុងតំបន់របស់យើងហើយដោយសារអ្នកកាន់កាប់ដែលខាង sheriff ដែលគាត់នៅពីកាន់កាប់កាល40ឆ្នាំមុននោះគឺគាត់មានអំពើពុករលួយហើយគឺថាគាត់មើលថែទាំថែរក្សាតែក្រុមគ្រួសាររបស់គាត់ហើយនឹងអង្គការនានាដែលគ្រប់គ្រងទៅលើនយោបាយគោលនយោបាយរបស់គាត់ហើយគឺថាហេតុដូច្នេះហើយគឺថាអំពើពុករលួយនោះគឺថាចាប់តាំងពីថ្នាក់លើរហូតមកដល់ថ្នាក់ក្រោមហើយតាំងពីនៅខាងមេធាវីតំបន់ក៏មានអំពើពុករលួយផងដែរហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំគ្រាន់តែនិយាយនៅអ្វីដែលសង្ខេបដែលគាត់បានលើកយកមកឡើងនោះគឺថាចាប់តាំងពីនៅខាងសភាក្រុងរហូតទៅដល់ចៅហ្វាយក្រុងគឺមានអំពើពុករលួយហើយនៅក្នុងនោះគឺថាមានការតាំងពីគាត់បានឡើងកាន់កាប់តំណែងមកគឺថាគាត់បានធ្វើការស្រាវជ្រាវដើម្បីបំបត្តិនៅអំពើពុករលួយទាំងអស់នោះហើយដោយសារអ្វីដែលគាត់បានខំធ្វើដើម្បីឲ្យមានយុត្តិធម៌នៅក្នុងសង្គមរបស់យើងគឺថាខាងអ្នកនយោបាយជាច្រើនបានចោទប្រកាន់គាត់ដោយមាក់ងាយទៅដល់គាត់ចំពោះអ្វីដែលគាត់បានធ្វើហើយគឺថាគេបានមានដល់ទៅខាង FBI បានខាងក្រុមស៊ើបអង្កេតបានមកធ្វើការស៊ើបអង្កេតនៅរឿងរ៉ាវអំពើពុករលួយដែលមាននៅក្នុងតំបន់របស់យើងហើយក៏គេមានការចោទប្រកាន់ទៅដល់គាត់ដោយគាត់បានខិតខំបំបត្តិនៅអំពើពុករលួយទាំងអស់នេះចា Thank you.
All right. Now, I'll go a little bit slower now. So the thing was, the accusation was that I investigate my political opponents, and it's a conflict of interest. We investigate crime. If there's a complaint of crime, my job is to investigate the crime. I don't care who it is. My job is to investigate. That's what my detectives do. Politicians don't like that.
ចំពោះខ្ញុំចូលចិត្តឲ្យបើសិនជាមានអ្នកណាតវ៉ាឬក៏មានការរអ៊ូរទាំចំពោះអំពើឃាតកម្មឬក៏អំពើអ្វីផ្សេងដែលកើតមានឡើងនោះគឺថាខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើសកម្មភាពដើម្បីតាមដានមើលនៅរឿងឃាតកម្មឬក៏អក្រិតកម្មផ្សេងដែលកើតមានឡើងម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាអ្នកនយោបាយផ្សេងគឺក៏អត់ពេញចិត្តចំពោះអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំធ្វើគឺថាបើមានអ្នកណាតវ៉ាអ្វីរឿងអ្វីមួយគឺខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើសកម្មភាពដើម្បីជួយតាមដាននៅក្នុងរឿងនោះ
So now the state attorney general is taken over the most recent investigation, and we asked him to. Unlike what the LA Times is trying to sell, that they somehow, stripped me of the authority to investigate. No, we invited them because we thought it was appropriate.
ហេតុដូច្នេះហើយគឺថានៅខាងមេធាវីនៅក្នុងរដ្ឋរបស់យើងហ្នឹងគឺថាមានធ្វើការតាមដានហើយចំពោះអ្វីដែលគាត់ធ្វើនោះគឺគាត់ចង់ធ្វើឲ្យវាមានការតាមដាននៅអំពើអក្រិតកម្មឬក៏អំពើអ្វីមួយនោះតែមិនដូចពាក្យដែលគេបាននិយាយនៅក្នុង LA Times ដោយថាមានការរិះគន់ចំពោះរូបខ្ញុំ
So hopefully that answered your question about where we're at today.
គឺថាសង្ឃឹមថាអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំបាននិយាយនេះគឺឆ្លើយនៅសំណួរអ្វីដែលមានរឿងរ៉ាវកើតឡើងនៅក្នុងពិភពលោកយើងនៅក្នុងបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះ
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Tyson, and thank you, Sheriff, for saying that nobody is above the rule of law. And in that same spirit, there has been numerous reports talking about the existence of gangs within your department, and I would like to give you the opportunity to address that because the community wants to feel safe, wants to feel confident in how you guys are enforcing law, and hearing that there are existence of gangs within your department, it's a scary thought, because that's people who are in power, and so thank you.
គឺថាខ្ញុំចង់សួរថានៅក្នុងរឿងរ៉ាវដែលកើតមានទាំងនេះខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងថាមានអ្នកណាមួយដែលជាអ្នកដែលនៅជាម្ចាស់នៅលើច្បាប់នោះទេប៉ុន្តែខាងសហគមន៍គឺថាគាត់ចង់ដឹងថាតើវាមានសវត្ថិភាពទាំងអ្វីទេដែលកើតមានឡើងនៅក្នុងសម្រាប់សហគមន៍របស់យើងដោយសារខ្ញុំឮគេថានៅក្នុងក្រសួងនោះមានក្រុមដូចជាក្រុមអ្នកលេងដែលគេហៅថា gang នោះហើយខ្ញុំក៏ចង់ដឹងផងដែរ
Excellent question. And I will tell you this. I have zero tolerance for any deputy or any employee that harms other people. Zero tolerance. I have terminated 156 employees to date. I can't terminate anyone twice. So the very first day I took office, I took immediate action on the problem that you're talking about, but it's a problem of perception and political opportunism, not reality. And I'll explain why.
គឺថាសំណួរអ្នកបានសួរមកហ្នឹងគឺថាសំណួរហ្នឹងល្អណាស់ហើយខ្ញុំក៏ចង់ជម្រាបផងដែរថាខ្ញុំគឺអត់យកអ្វីដែលចំពោះអ្នកប្រព្រឹត្តខុសនោះគឺខ្ញុំមិនផ្ដល់នៅការអនុញ្ញាតទេហើយខ្ញុំក៏បានបណ្ដឹងចេញបុគ្គលិកចំនួន6នាក់កន្លងរួចមកហើយខ្ញុំក៏គាត់ចង់ជម្រាបអញ្ចឹងគឺខ្ញុំអត់ទទួលទេ160 Yeah, I heard like 6. I missed. So it's 160?
156.
Oh, 156. Okay. ចាគាត់បានដកចេញបុគ្គលិកអស់156នាក់ហើយចាដោយសារប្រព្រឹត្តនៅអំពើអ្វីដែលគេគិតថាមិនល្អចំពោះសហគមន៍
So the Kennedy Hall incident happened when McDonald was sheriff. That was September of 18. So my first day in office in December of 18, I got rid of the station captain. I replaced the entire leadership team at East LA Station, launched a massive investigation. I ended up terminating 4 deputies. I suspended without pay 22 deputies. I transferred 36 deputies.
You transfer how many?
36.
គឺថាដោយសាររឿងដែលកើតមានឡើងនៅក្នុងដែលគាត់បាននិយាយមកថាឈ្មោះខាង Candy Hall នោះគឺថាចាប់តាំងពីខែ9ថ្ងៃទី18ហើយគឺថាមានការស៊ើបអង្កេតហើយក្នុងនោះគឺថាត្រូវបានខ្ញុំបានដេញចេញ4នាក់ហើយដែលខាង deputy ទាំងអស់4នាក់ហើយមានចំពោះអ្នកផ្សេងទៀតគឺ36នាក់ដែលខ្ញុំត្រូវបានឲ្យគេដេញចេញ
Based on that, then I created a policy that I enforced that does not allow any group of deputies to form and join for the purpose of harming other people. That's not policy.
ចាំតបពីនោះគឺខ្ញុំបានបង្កើតច្បាប់មួយគឺថាច្បាប់ហ្នឹងគឺមិនអាចឲ្យក្រុមណាដែលខាងក្រុមខាងdeputy ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺថាបង្កើតជាក្រុមហើយដើម្បីព្រួតគ្នាធ្វើបាបចំពោះអ្នកដទៃទេគឺថានេះគឺច្បាប់ថ្មីដែលខ្ញុំបានបង្កើតឡើង
I sponsored Assembly Bill 958, which has now become state law, which takes our department's policy and is a foundation for state law. That's how serious I took the perception of that problem.
គឺថាដោយសារបញ្ហានោះហើយគឺខ្ញុំបានបង្កើតច្បាប់នោះគឺច្បាប់នោះគឺច្បាប់158ដែលមាននៅក្នុងច្បាប់រដ្ឋរបស់យើងនេះហើយគឺថាដោយសារការយកចិត្តទុកដាក់ដែលខ្ញុំបានខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងដើម្បីធ្វើឲ្យបង្កើតច្បាប់នេះឡើងគឺដើម្បីឲ្យកុំឲ្យមានការអំពើធ្វើបាបចំពោះបុគ្គលណាម្នាក់
And now those studies, those reports you hear of, every single one of them has zero evidence about an actual deputy gang. Not one. However, politicians have realized it's a real good way to discredit the sheriff. Let's say there's deputy gangs. And we'll run around, everyone's, oh yeah, there's deputy gangs. So I challenge every single one of those politicians, name one single gang member. They can't.
ហើយគឺថានៅក្នុងរបាយការណ៍ដែលយើងបានធ្វើគឺថាបន្ទាប់ពីច្បាប់នឹងបានកើតឡើងគឺថាអត់មានរបាយការណ៍ណាមួយបញ្ជាក់បង្ហាញថានៅក្នុងក្រសួងនោះមានខាង Deputy Gang នោះគឺអត់មានទេហើយខ្ញុំបានបញ្ជាក់ថាសូមបង្ហាញរបាយការណ៍ណាមួយដែលបញ្ជាក់បង្ហាញថាមានម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាស្រាវជ្រាវមកគឺអត់មានទេគឺថានេះគឺជាកិច្ចការដែលខ្ញុំបានខិតខំធ្វើ
So now I could ask every single person in this room what a unicorn looks like. You could probably describe it, right? Then I'll ask you, have you seen one?
ខ្ញុំចង់សួរអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាគឺដែលមកចូលរួមនៅទីនេះគឺថាតើអ្នកមានដឹងថាពាក់ខោអាវ uniform ហ្នឹងគឺថាយើងមានទេបើថាមានដឹងថាមានពួកខាងក្រុមហ្គេងហ្នឹងគេពាក់គឺបង្ហាញថាតើវាមានពណ៌សម្បុរអ្វីដែរ
As you can see now, the Board of Supervisors, the Inspector General, the Oversight Commission, they're all running around. Oh my God, there's gangs everywhere running amok. They can't find a single one. 4 cases in a row have been thrown out of court with those allegations, and the judge says, where's your evidence? They have none, so the cases get kicked out. It's a political campaign, not based in reality.
ហើយនៅក្នុងនោះដែរគឺថាដោយសារគេបញ្ជាក់បង្ហាញថាអ្នកដែលជា gang នោះគឺគេមានស្លៀកពាក់ខោអាវតម្រួតពណ៌ផ្សេងអីអញ្ចឹងណាប៉ុន្តែដល់ហើយទៅគឺថាវាអត់ឃើញមានទេហើយនៅក្នុងនោះគឺគេដោយសារគោលនយោបាយចំពោះបុគ្គលឬក៏ក្រុមអ្វីផ្សេងនោះគឺគេបានចោទប្រកាន់មកលើពួកយើងមានក្រុមមានអ្នក4នាក់ក្នុងនោះមានខេសទាំងអស់វាសំណុំរឿង4ហើយត្រូវបានឡើងទៅតុលាការហើយនៅក្នុងតុលាការនោះគឺថាចៅក្រមបានកាត់សេចក្តីថាវាអត់មានផុសតាងអ្វីបញ្ជាក់ថានៅក្នុងក្រុមនោះមានខាងអ្នកខាង gang នោះទេ
And as you described, you were afraid of deputies, right? Because of gangs. That's exactly what the politicians wanted you to feel. So they fooled you. You were duped into believing that.
ហើយគឺថាដោយសារអ្នកនយោបាយខ្លះដោយថាចង់ឈ្នះគាត់អញ្ចឹងគឺថាគេបានបង្កើតសាច់រឿងផ្សេងជាច្រើនដើម្បីធ្វើមិនឲ្យបានឈ្នះហើយគឺថានោះគឺជាការបោកបញ្ឆោតទេបញ្ឆោតអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នា
The sad thing is politicians didn't care about the impact of what they were saying in the community. Their only goal was to discredit me as a sheriff. And you not having faith in law enforcement, they just didn't care because you did not matter to them.
ហើយគឺថាអ្នកគោលនយោបាយទាំងអស់នោះគឺថាដោយសារការចោទប្រកាន់ចំពោះគាត់អីជាច្រើនអញ្ចឹងលៀបពណ៌ណាខ្មែរយើងថាលៀបពណ៌គ្នាអញ្ចឹងណាហើយគឺថានឹងគឺជាការមួយគួរឲ្យសោកស្ដាយណាស់ចាសោកស្ដាយហើយគឺថាពួកគេបានមាក់ងាយមកដល់ខ្ញុំហើយគឺថាចំពោះការងារដែលខ្ញុំធ្វើពួកគេបានមាក់ងាយហើយគឺថានេះគឺជាមិនល្អទេ
Thank you, Sheriff, to be here. And I had a question regarding to the homeless situation in our area. Yeah, I think getting worse than compared 40 years ago when I was in Long Beach and running a business out there. But things getting worse. And one thing is the law enforcement in Long Beach have a hand tied to the situation. Every time you come out, they say go report the crime, and they come out and nothing happened, and the same thing repeat again for last 4 years. And I would like to know a sheriff department, what your take on that,
Well, we do know that the homeless population has grown immensely, especially in the last 4 years with the pandemic. And the shelters emptied out a lot of their shelters as well to half capacity to accommodate the pandemic.
គឺថាសំណួរខ្ញុំបានសួរទៅថាតើខាង sheriff តើគិតយ៉ាងណាដែរចំពោះខាងអត់ផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅហើយនឹងអ្នកដែលអនាថាដែលរស់នៅទីក្រុងឡុងបិចក្នុងរយៈពេល40ឆ្នាំកន្លងមកនេះគឺខ្ញុំឃើញថាវាមានការកើនឡើងយ៉ាងច្រើនហើយក្នុងនោះចំពោះខ្ញុំដែលជាអ្នករស់ស៊ីនៅទីក្រុងឡុងបិចនេះគឺថាខ្ញុំដូចថាយើងធ្វើការរាយការណ៍អំពីអ្នកអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅហើយនឹងពួកអនាថាអីហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំគិតថាអត់មានអ្នកណាឆ្លើយតបឬក៏សួរអ្វីជួយមកដល់ពួកយើងទេហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំគិតថានៅខាងក្រសួងខាង sheriff ហ្នឹងគឺថាអ្នកធ្វើការហ្នឹងគឺដូចថាគេចង់ដែរយើងមិនឲ្យយើងធ្វើកិច្ចការអ្វីបាននេះគឺជាសំណួររបស់ខ្ញុំហើយឥឡូវនេះជាចម្លើយគឺថាក្នុងរយៈពេល40ឆ្នាំនេះគឺថាអ្នកអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅក្នុងតំបន់របស់យើងនេះគឺវាមានការកើនឡើងយ៉ាងច្រើនហើយគឺថាតាំងពីដែលយើងមានខាងជំងឺរាតត្បាតមកគឺថាកាន់តែកើនឡើង
I can tell you that about 3 years ago, 2019, I went to Long Beach along the 710 corridor in those underpasses where there was a lot of big encampments. And this is in the city of Long Beach. I was there with our homeless outreach service team, Lieutenant Jeff Diedrich, some of you may know him. And we were there with LA Homeless Service Authority personnel, and we were supposed to meet with Long Beach PD, their counterparts, to clean up this encampment. They never showed up. So we were left to work with the LA Homeless Service Authority by ourselves to clean up the whole encampment. That was emblematic of the approach of Long Beach PD. We just do nothing.
ហើយគឺថារយៈពេល3ឆ្នាំមុននោះគឺថាខ្ញុំបានធ្វើដំណើរទៅនៅខាងផ្លូវ710យើងគេហៅថា710ហ្នឹងហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំបានទៅជាមួយអ្នកដែលធ្វើការទំនាក់ទំនងជាមួយនឹងជនអនាថាអ្នកអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅហើយគឺថាយើងបានរាយការណ៍ទៅខាងនៅខាងក្រសួងប៉ូលីសនៅទីក្រុងឡុងបិចរបស់យើងប៉ុន្តែពួកគេអត់មានធ្វើសកម្មភាពអ្វីទាំងអស់គឺថានេះគឺជាបញ្ហាដ៏ធំមួយដែលវាខាងក្រសួងប៉ូលីសនៅទីក្រុងឡុងបិចគេអត់បានធ្វើអីទេ
The Long Beach PD officers, I don't put them at fault for this. It's the leadership of Long Beach. That was Chief Robert Luna. That's the mayor, Robert Garcia of Long Beach. They are the ones that are responsible for the situation in Long Beach. The homeless crisis and their approach to the riots in 2020 where they did nothing and all of your businesses suffered. And you bore the brunt of that impact because of their incompetence.
ចាក្នុងនោះគឺថានៅខ្ញុំបាននិយាយគឺនៅក្នុងដែលខាងក្រសួងប៉ូលីសនៅទីក្រុងឡុងបិចរបស់យើងគឺអត់បានធ្វើអ្វីទាំងអស់ហើយជាពិសេសដែលជាអ្នកដឹកនាំនោះគឺ Robert Luna ដែលគាត់មានការគ្រប់គ្រងពីចៅហ្វាយក្រុង Robert Garcia ហើយគឺថានៅក្នុងឆ្នាំដោយសារមានរងផលប៉ះពាល់យ៉ាងខ្លាំងនៅឆ្នាំ2020នៅពេលដែលគេធ្វើបាតកម្មដោយថារាតត្បាតកំទេចបំផ្លាញចំពោះក្រុមហ៊ុនរស់ស៊ីរបស់អ្នកដែលនៅទីក្រុងរបស់យើងគឺថាខ្ញុំមើលឃើញថាគេអត់ធ្វើអីជួយទេ
I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone. My name is Soup. I'm so happy to be here with the sheriff. I do want to commend you because when there's a homeless situation happening in the city, I do have a specific number I call to address the homeless situation that I can reach you guys 24/7. And
This for Bellflower?
Bellflower, yes. So I've seen an increase in homelessness around this area, and I have addressed it every single time I'm worried or concerned. I call that number, and everyone's really nice. And okay, we're gonna send somebody out there. Somebody does show up. So thank you for that. That's really I'll provide the number to you guys later. It's really helpful. That's my commendation for you guys. But my question is, as a Cambodian American born here in the States, I wanted to know if a chef runs into a Cambodian American who doesn't speak English, will there be a translator available to, like, let's say maybe they need some help, they can't speak up? Is there someone to be on call to be doing that?
We have 64 languages spoken in the department, and we have Cambodian speakers. We also have on our 911 system, when you call 911, we have the ability to have a translator on the phone with a 911 call, any language. And people are not aware of that, but we can do that. Our challenge is to get more Cambodian deputies working Lakewood Station, for example, which are probably the best. We have now Korean Americans who speak Korean. They work Walnut Station, Temple. We have Chinese Americans that speak Mandarin, Cantonese, all these different languages. And we have them now working all the stations that have a sizable population with that language. And obviously, East LA Spanish, everybody speaks Spanish. So it is there, and I want to throw it back on you. Recruit me some good deputies.
I think this is a great way to find jobs for the Cambodian people too.
Yes, we are
So that's
hiring.
yeah.
And here's the requirements. Provisionally, you need a 2-year degree, 2 years of college, but we're doing a provisional experiment now where we're going to do high school, and you got to get the 2 years within the first 5 years of working as a deputy. Only because we have now a crisis of we don't have enough people in the hopper, so we're working that. You got to be U.S. citizen. There's a written test. You have to go through extensive background tests. So we want to know everything about you, the schools you went to, your work history, your financial history, your social media history. Okay? We're going to learn everything about you. And then we do a polygraph examination. We do a psychiatric evaluation and a medical. And then you go through all of that. For every 100 applicants, we hire 2. So as you can see, we need to get a lot of people to apply, and we'll get at least a few out of the many. My first year in office, 2019, we hired 1,100 deputies.
គឺថាស៊ូប៉ាគាត់បានមានសំណួរសួរថាចំពោះគាត់ដែលរស់នៅខាងតំបន់ខាង Bellflower នេះគឺថាគាត់ចង់ដឹងថាការអ្នកឯងបាននិយាយថាខ្ញុំអាចទូរស័ព្ទបាន24ម៉ោង7ថ្ងៃក្នុងមួយអាទិត្យម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំក៏ចង់និយាយថាពេលខ្លះខ្ញុំមានការព្រួយបារម្ភពេលដែលខ្ញុំឃើញអ្នកអនាថាឬក៏អត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងអីរស់នៅអីហ្នឹងគឺថាខ្ញុំមានការព្រួយបារម្ភខ្លាចលោកមានបញ្ហាអ្វីកើតឡើងប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំចង់សួរថាតើចំពោះខ្មែរយើងដែលជាខ្មែរអាមេរិកាំងពេលណាយើងមានសំណួរអ្វីគឺយើងទូរស័ព្ទទៅតើខាងក្រសួងមានអ្នកបកប្រែភាសាខ្មែរដែរឬទេហើយគាត់ក៏បានឆ្លើយវិញថាចំពោះបញ្ហាគឺថាយើងមានអ្នកបកប្រែភាសាទាំងអស់ចំនួន64ភាសាចាបើសិនជាយើងទូរស័ព្ទមកនៅខាង911ក៏យើងមានអ្នករងចាំឆ្លើយទទួលទូរស័ព្ទទាំងអស់នោះដែរតែគ្រាន់តែបញ្ហាមួយគឺបញ្ហាខាងភាសាខ្មែរយើងអត់មានខាង Deputy ខ្មែរយើងគាត់សុខចិត្តធ្វើការនៅរហូតដល់ពេលយប់ទេហើយម្ល៉េះហើយយើងមានការខ្វះខាតហើយដូច្នេះហើយបើសិនជាដូចជានៅខាងតំបន់ LA គឺគេមានភាសាចិនភាសា Mandarin ឬក៏ភាសាCantonese ហើយបើសិនជាខាងតំបន់ខាង LA មួយទៀតគឺថាគេមានខាង Deputy គាត់និយាយភាសា Spanish មានអ្នកបកប្រែចាជាច្រើនប៉ុន្តែចំពោះយើងថាអាចកែនដូចថាយើងចង់កែន police ឬក៏ខាង sheriff មកធ្វើការខាង Deputy របស់យើងប៉ុន្តែសូមជួយប្រាប់ផងទៅណាហើយយើងតម្រូវត្រូវការបើសិនជាគាត់ខ្មែរយើងចង់ធ្វើខាងការងារខាង Deputy ហើយយើងតម្រូវឲ្យមាន2ឆ្នាំចាសម្រាប់college ត្រូវមានកម្រិតចំណេះវិជ្ជា2ឆ្នាំឬក៏ធ្វើការ5ឆ្នាំមានបទពិសោធន៍ជាមួយនឹងខាងក្រសួង Deputy របស់យើងហើយយើងនឹងធ្វើការឆែកពិនិត្យមើលពីខាងសុខភាពហើយនឹងប្រវត្តិរូបចំពោះបុគ្គលម្នាក់ផងដែរចា
What she said. No.
Okay, I'm a little short, so I have to stand up. So my name's Linda, and thank you, Sheriff, for being with us today. I'm a Long Beach resident for my whole entire life, and I guess my question will be along the lines of the homeless crisis. And I've been in the security industry for quite some time. I've had to respond to calls, like say Mr. Highband's business, and handle the homeless situation there where someone set fire to it and I had to put the fire out myself. Like, well, it's a small little fire, nothing big, right? So, and then, you know, even to a call where, you know, just across the street from his business, a woman, a homeless woman, she threw a rock at the security patrol car, you know, which was an attempt to harm me, and good thing she didn't, right? So, and I know that in some media coverage, you visited Venice and you were on the boardwalk there, and they are really ruthless over there, right? And I've encountered that myself because I've been on a property there, and I mean, they're ready to strike at you. So, thank you for visiting there and you know, trying to help with that over there in Venice. Santa Monica. Also, what I wanted to say was, what would you do to address the homeless situation now that also Governor Newsom has launched that pilot program for the CARE, I believe it was just called CARE program.
Well, there's actually, oops.
Oh, okay. Yeah. ខ្ញុំឆ្លងអានហើយខ្ញុំរស់នៅទីក្រុង Long Beach នេះអស់រយៈមួយជីវិតរបស់ខ្ញុំហើយខ្ញុំចង់សូមអរគុណចំពោះអ្នកដែលបានលើករឿងនេះមកនិយាយហើយខ្ញុំចង់សួរអំពីអ្នកដែលអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងរស់នៅតើខ្ញុំធ្លាប់បានឆ្លើយទូរស័ព្ទទៅព្រោះដោយសារមានស្រីម្នាក់គាត់បានអុចចាអុចភ្លើងហើយឲ្យឆេះហើយខ្ញុំបានពលត់ភ្លើងនោះហើយគឺថាហើយមួយទៀតគឺខ្ញុំបានឃើញស្ត្រីនោះគាត់អត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងហ្នឹងជនអនាថាហ្នឹងបានគប់ថ្មទៅខាងប៉ូលីសចាហើយខ្ញុំបានមើលឃើញហើយគឺខ្ញុំថាហើយខ្ញុំក៏ចង់សួរអ្នកផងដែរចំពោះអ្វីដែលអ្នកបានធ្វើខ្ញុំបានឃើញអ្នកដើរនៅកន្លែង Venice Beach ហើយនៅ Santa Monica នោះខ្ញុំមើលឃើញចំពោះអំពើល្អអ្វីដែលអ្នកបានធ្វើយ៉ាងច្រើនប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំឃើញប្រជាជននៅទីនោះគាត់ដូចថាមានដូចថាចង់ប្រើអំពើហិង្សាមកលើរូបអ្នកអញ្ចឹងដែរហើយនៅក្នុងនោះក៏មានខាង Governor Newton ហើយគាត់មានដូចថាខាងបាននិយាយអំពីច្បាប់ខាង homeless នោះតើអ្នកគិតយ៉ាងម៉េចដែរ
Okay, I can tell you this. There is a solution to the homeless crisis. One of the things we have to do is we have to regulate public space. If you don't, someone's going to occupy it, and you're not going to like it. That's one of the priorities and obligations of local government is regulate public space. That's what defines it as public, because everyone gets to use it. But if you come here on a one-way bus ticket to plop your butt on the Venice boardwalk and say, this is mine, well, that's no longer public space. So, The governor, the board of supervisors, they have an obligation to build up sufficient shelter capacity so we have the bed space to move people off public property and into shelter. They have to build up capacity to treat people with mental illness, residential capacity. That includes secured and unsecured residential capacity. From high observation housing for the most severely disabled mentally, all the way to the outpatient basis, community-based. They have to build that up. Doesn't exist right now.
ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយថាដើម្បីដោះស្រាយយើងត្រូវតែរកបញ្ហាដោះស្រាយចំពោះអ្នកដែលអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងរស់នៅគឺថាដែលជាពិសេសនោះគឺទីតាំងសាធារណៈចាវាមានសារៈសំខាន់ណាស់ទីតាំងសាធារណៈនៅពេលណាដែលគេដឹកអ្នកជនអនាថាទាំងអស់នោះតាមបឹសជិះបឹសមកហើយគេឲ្យសម្បត្តិគេហៅថាមកតាមកអត់មានត្រឡប់ទៅវិញទេណាហើយដល់អញ្ចឹងទៅគឺថាអ្នកទាំងអស់នោះត្រូវគេយកមកទម្លាក់ចោលដល់ពេលគេទម្លាក់ចោលហើយពួកគេវាគ្មានកន្លែងណាទៅទេម្ល៉េះហើយគេត្រូវការទៅរកកន្លែងសាធារណៈហ នៅពេលដែលបើសិនជាយើងបំបត្តិមិនឲ្យពួកគេនៅតាមទីសាធារណៈនឹងបានគឺយើងអាចដោះស្រាយបញ្ហាបានខ្លះៗហើយនៅក្នុងនោះខាង governor នឹងគាត់បានគិតថាគាត់បាននឹងមានកន្លែងដូចថាសម្រាប់ស្នាក់នៅមានក្រែមានផ្ទះមិនមែនតែសម័យសំទោសមានកន្លែងស្នាក់នៅមានក្រែមានអីហ្នឹងគឺសម្រាប់ជួយទៅដល់អ្នកដែលអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅប៉ុន្តែដែលពិសេសដែលសំខាន់នោះគឺអ្នកអនាថាទាំងអស់នោះគឺគាត់មានបញ្ហាសុខភាពខួរក្បាលនិងបញ្ហាសុខភាពផ្លូវចិត្តជាច្រើនម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាទាំងអស់នោះគឺជាបញ្ហាដែលចម្បងដែលយើងត្រូវតែដោះស្រាយ
They need to build shelter capacity or treatment capacity for those who suffer from substance abuse.
ហើយក្នុងនោះគឺថាត្រូវតែមានការសាងសង់កន្លែងស្នាក់នៅឲ្យពួកគាត់ជាពិសេសដើម្បីគាត់ជាពិសេសអ្នកដែលប្រើប្រាស់គ្រឿងញៀន
Emergency shelter capacity for the rest who are able-bodied and can work. They need to be offered that shelter bed. And for everyone else who insists, I don't care, I'm still going to sleep on the sidewalk in front of your business, I have no sympathy for that group anymore. They need to go into shelter or they need to hit the road and get out of LA County. Maybe go back to the state they came from. Find another one-way bus ticket. We'll even provide them the one-way bus ticket. We've been the victim of all the other states dumping their homeless to California. I want to reverse that migration. I want to send them all back to where they came from. Because everyone that shows up here takes away my resources from the people that are from LA County. They may suffer from mental health issues, substance abuse, or they're down on their luck and they lost their home. That's how we take care of our own. But government has to be willing to tell people, no, you can't do that. Shelter or out of here.
គឺថាយើងត្រូវតែរកវិធីដោះស្រាយក្នុងវិធីដោះស្រាយនោះគឺយើងត្រូវតែសាងសង់កន្លែងស្នាក់នៅបណ្ដោះអាសន្នសម្រាប់ពួកគាត់ហើយពេលដែលយើងសាងសង់កន្លែងបណ្ដោះអាសន្នឲ្យពួកគាត់ស្នាក់នៅនោះគឺថាយើងត្រូវតែគិតមើលតើចំពោះអ្នកដែលគាត់មានសមត្ថភាពអាចធ្វើការងារបានគឺត្រូវតែចាក់ចេញពីកន្លែងស្នាក់នៅនោះដើម្បីទៅប្រកបការងារហើយចំពោះអ្នកដែលមិនអាចប្រកបការងារបានយើងត្រូវតែមើលគាត់ហើយនឹងជាពិសេសអ្នកដែលប្រើប្រាស់គ្រឿងញៀនយើងត្រូវតែរកវិធីដើម្បីព្យាបាលដល់គាត់ហើយគឺថាចំពោះទីក្រុងហើយនឹងរដ្ឋរបស់យើងនេះគឺថាវាមានរងផលប៉ះពាល់យ៉ាងច្រើននៅពេលដែលរដ្ឋនានាបានដឹកបញ្ជូនជនអនាថាឲ្យមកទម្លាក់នៅរដ្ឋរបស់យើងនេះគឺធ្វើឲ្យអ្នកអត់ជនអនាថានោះកាន់តែកើនឡើងគឺថាវាអត់ស័ក្តិសមវាអត់ស្មើភាពសម្រាប់ពួកយើងទេយើងគួរតែទិញសម្បត្តិបោះដាក់ពួកគេត្រឡប់ទៅទីក្រុងឬក៏ទីតាំងកន្លែងណាដែលពួកគេបានមកហើយគឺថាខាង governor របស់យើងគួរតែធ្វើអញ្ចឹងហើយចំពោះខ្ញុំធ្លាប់តែមានការអាណិតអាសូរចំពោះជនអនាថាយ៉ាងច្រើនប៉ុន្តែដោយសាររឿងនេះវាកើតកាន់តែកើនឡើងធ្វើឲ្យខ្ញុំអត់មានភាពអត់ធ្មត់និងអាណិតអាសូរដល់ពួកគាត់ទេគឺថាបើថាយើងមិនអាចទប់ស្កាត់បានគឺយើងមានដឹកគាត់បញ្ជូនត្រឡប់ទៅវិញ
This is not rocket science. The county has wasted $6.5 billion over the last 10 years only to see the problem double in size. This can happen. In fact, the only thing missing is political will. Give me a good supervisors, mayor for LA, a governor. We can do this in 90 days. We could knock this out in 90 days. It's not that hard. Just look what happened in Ukraine. 2 million people fleeing the war in Ukraine. They built what? Refugee camps, right? Katrina, hurricane. Over what? 100,000 fled? They got shelter, FEMA camps. We can do this. The only thing missing is political will.
ហើយគឺថានេះគឺមិនមែនជាការអ្វីដែលយើងពិបាកគិតដូចជាការសាងសង់រ៉ាកេតនោះទេគឺថានេះជាការមួយដែលងាយស្រួលគឺថានៅខាង LA County របស់យើងគឺថាចំណាយ អស់ប្រហែលជា$6.5 billion ដើម្បីគិតគូរចំពោះបញ្ហាជាពិសេសដោយថាអ្នកដែលអត់ជនអនាថាទាំងអស់នោះគឺគេបានចំណាយលុយយ៉ាងច្រើនហើយបញ្ហាកាន់តែកើនឡើងម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាបើសិនជាខ្ញុំត្រូវបានចប់ឆ្នោតធ្វើជាចវាយធ្វើជាអ្នកដឹកនាំរបស់រដ្ឋរបស់យើងឬក៏នៅក្នុងខាងតំបន់នៅខាង LA County អីហ្នឹងបើសិនជាខ្ញុំចប់ឆ្នោតគឺថាយើងអាចធ្វើដោះស្រាយនៅបញ្ហាទាំងអស់នេះបានយ៉ាងងាយស្រួលក្នុងរយៈពេលថាយើងអាចធ្វើបានក្នុងរយៈពេលតែ90ថ្ងៃប៉ុន្តែដូចយើងមើលទៅបញ្ហានៅយូក្រែនហើយនឹងពេលដែលជនភៀសខ្លួនរាប់លានអ្នកគឺគេអាចដោះស្រាយបានគេរកទីជំរកឲ្យពួកគេស្នាក់នៅបានហើយចំពោះដូចជាកាលទឹកលិចនៅកាទ្រីណាអញ្ចឹងដែរគឺថាគេអាចដោះស្រាយបានរកកន្លែងឲ្យពួកគាត់ស្នាក់នៅបានតែយើងហេតុអីយើងធ្វើមិនបានដូច្នេះគឺខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យមានការកែប្រែត្រង់ហ្នឹង
Please make your questions short បាទសូមឲ្យសំដួលខ្លីព្រោះពេលវេលាយើងអស់ហើយយើងចង់ឲ្យបានមនុស្សច្រើនសួរបាទ
Yes, thank you for taking my question. It's tied with the homelessness and drug substance abuse and misuse. You know, recently on the news, there's talking about a lot of children dying or misuse the medication and stuff like that. So what does your department do to help, elevate this issue and minimize the deaths and stuff like that going on in our community?
គឺថាចង់សួរថាខ្ញុំចង់សួរថាតើសូមអរគុណចំពោះអ្វីដែលលោកបាននិយាយនេះហើយក៏ខ្ញុំសូមចង់និយាយថាបញ្ហាអ្នកអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅជនអនាថាហើយនឹងអ្នកប្រើប្រាស់គ្រឿងញៀនហើយខ្ញុំបានឃើញសារព័ត៌មានគេបានផ្សាយហើយឃើញមានកូនក្មេងប្រើប្រាស់គ្រឿងញៀនហើយបានស្លាប់ហើយតើលោកគិតយ៉ាងណាដែរចំពោះរឿងទាំងអស់នេះ
Well, we have an overdose task force. We've assigned 9 investigators and a sergeant, lieutenant overseeing all the investigations. And now we're treating every overdose like a potential homicide investigation. So we consult with Homicide Bureau, Narcotics Bureau that is running it, our Major Crimes Bureau, Fraud and Cyber Crimes Bureau. And you get all the information necessary to decide if the person who sold the counterfeit pill caused the death, obviously, of the person, of the deceased, the overdose. And then we'll pursue federal charges against that person. Because state charges on fentanyl, they're very weak. But federal, it's a 20-year sentence. So it's very, very significant. So our detectives are filing these cases federally now to get the drug dealers basically locked up for a sizable amount of time and to send a message to everybody else. You sell that poison and kill someone, we're coming after you. So that's a very serious thing we have. We also have to fight, unfortunately, state law, get a little stronger. There was a Senate Bill 350 that was shot down in the Assembly by Senator Bradford because he didn't want to expose drug dealers to more jail time. He literally wanted to protect drug dealers.
Can you say bill? What's the bill?
Senate Bill 350.
350 គឺថាខ្ញុំចង់និយាយឆ្លើយនៅសំណួរនេះគឺថាចំពោះបើសិនជាមានអ្នកណាប្រើប្រាស់គ្រឿងញៀនហើយមានការស្លាប់ចំពោះបុគ្គលណាម្នាក់គឺថាយើងនឹងធ្វើការស្រាវជ្រាវយើងធ្វើការស្រាវជ្រាវនោះគឺយើងស្រាវជ្រាវយើងចាត់ទុកថានឹងគឺជាអំពើអក្រិតកម្មមួយហើយយើងចង់ដឹងថាតើអ្នកណាជាអ្នកលក់ហើយបើសិនជាយើងរកឃើញអ្នកលក់គឺថាអ្នកនឹងគឺថានឹងត្រូវជាប់គុកក្នុងរយៈពេលអាចជាប់គុករហូតដល់20ឆ្នាំហើយសម្រាប់អ្នកលក់ហើយគឺថានៅក្នុងរដ្ឋរបស់យើងគឺយើងមានច្បាប់មួយគឺថាច្បាប់30ហើយច្បាប់នោះគឺថាបានបង្កើតឡើងប៉ុន្តែត្រូវគេបានលុបចោលដោយសារអ្នកដូចថាគេគិតថាវាមិនមានទោសធ្ងន់ធ្ងរម្ល៉េះគឺជាយើងត្រូវតែមើលចំពោះបញ្ហានេះ
Okay, go ahead. មាន microphone ស្រាប់
អូ
មានចាំហើយគាត់និយាយបាន
ជំរាបសួរអំពូមិញបង Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your comprehensive explaining and respond to all the questions. My wife, my 2 kids, and I from Long Beach. We are resident in Long Beach, and we are work very closely with the Cambodian community. It's not just only Cambodian community, the diverse community, and we learned that we have a relationship gap between sheriff and community member. Frankly tell, even though me, I'm scared when I see a police, or maybe a sheriff is more scared. So what is your strategy in order to reduce this gap relationship between the sheriff department and community member? Thank you.
Can I just ថាសូមអរគុណចំពោះលោកដែលបានមកចូលរួមហើយបានឆ្លើយតបនៅសំណួរអ្វីផ្សេងៗដែលពួកយើងបានសួរខ្ញុំនិងភរិយារបស់ខ្ញុំរស់នៅទីក្រុង Long Beach របស់យើងនេះហើយក៏ខ្ញុំក៏ធ្វើការនៅក្នុងសហគមន៍របស់យើងនេះដែរហើយខ្ញុំចង់សួរទៅលោកថាតើចំពោះធ្វើយ៉ាងណាដើម្បីយើងលុបបំបាត់ចំពោះរឿងអក្រិតកម្មផ្សេងៗដែលមានកើតឡើងនៅទីក្រុងរបស់យើង
Well, one thing we did when I first took office is that I removed ICE, federal immigration authorities. I removed them from the county jails, from the patrol stations, and from the courthouses, because I wanted to improve the perception of local law enforcement among the immigrant and undocumented community, which is very large in LA County. That's 1 million residents are undocumented.
ហើយចំពោះខ្ញុំពេលដែលខ្ញុំបានឡើងធ្វើជាអ្នកដឹកនាំគឺថាខ្ញុំបាននឹងធ្វើការលុបបំបាត់នៅខាង ICE ចាខាង ICE ហ្នឹងគឺខាងអ្នកដែលដូចថាអ្នកតាក់ទងទៅនឹងរឿងជនអន្តោប្រវេសន៍ចាហើយក្នុងនោះគឺថាយើងមាននឹងដូចថាចំពោះអ្នកដែលជាប់ទោសនៅខាងក្នុងតំបន់របស់យើងហើយជាពិសេសគឺថានៅក្នុងតំបន់ LA County របស់យើងហើយនឹងខាងតុលាការដែលនៅ LA របស់យើងផងដែរហើយយើងនៅទី LA របស់យើងនៅ County របស់យើងមានជនរស់នៅដោយអត់មានច្បាប់ចំនួន1លាននាក់
Establishing a bright line of separation between federal immigration and local law enforcement was very, very important. We need both to do their job, but they can't do it together. Because I can't have someone calling 911 thinking that leads to deportation, because then they're not going to call.
ហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យធ្វើការងារហ្នឹងគឺបែងចែកគ្នាឲ្យដាច់គឺថាមួយគឺថាខាងច្បាប់គឺខាងច្បាប់ផ្សេងហើយនឹងខាងជនអន្តោប្រវេសន៍គឺខុសគ្នាចាគឺម្ល៉េះហើយគឺថាវាមើលទៅវាច្បុកច្បល់គ្នាខ្ញុំចង់បែងចែកឲ្យដាច់ចំពោះបញ្ហាពីរមុខនេះ
We also hire from the community, so the department is a reflection of the community. We also have our community advisory council. In fact, Pete here is a member of that, and he might share some insight there. But we're constant. Remember, the department, the department is part of the community. And the community is the stakeholders and the shareholders of the sheriff's department. So this is your sheriff's department. Doesn't matter if you live in Long Beach and we don't patrol Long Beach, but you're part of LA County, and the department belongs to all of LA County as a public entity. So we're always working together in partnership with the community.
ហើយគឺថាក្នុងនោះផងដែរគឺថាយើងចង់ជួលដូចថារកបុគ្គលិកការងារសម្រាប់ក្រសួងរបស់យើងគឺជ្រើសរើសប្រជាជនពីសហគមន៍ហើយគឺថាមានលោក Peter ហើយលោក Peter ក៏គាត់ជាអ្នកខាងគណៈកម្មការនៅក្នុងខាង Board Advisory នៅផងដែរហើយគឺថានៅក្នុងនោះគឺថាក៏មានដូចថានៅខាងទីក្រុង Long Beach របស់យើងហើយនឹងតំបន់ LA គឺថាយើងត្រូវធ្វើក៏មានខាង Sheriff ក្រសួងរបស់ Sheriff របស់យើងផងដែរ
All right, very cool. Thank you.
I think we almost ran out of time. I'm going to take probably the last question, hopefully, if the sheriff answered short. ខ្ញុំចង់សួរថាកន្លងរយៈពេលជាច្រើនខែជាច្រើនឆ្នាំមកយើងមានអក្រិតកម្មអំពើស្អប់អំពើសម្អប់ជាច្រើននៅក្នុង LA County ទូទាំងប្រទេសតើលោក Sheriff មាន គម្រោងធ្វើយ៉ាងណាដែរដើម្បីកាត់បន្ថយ I'm going to translate myself. So over the past month and year,
Thank you.
I'm very good quick. Over the past month and year, we have a lot of anti-hate crime throughout Long Beach and LA County and nationwide, basically. So do you have any plan to curb that?
We have a hate crime task force, and we're partnered with the FBI, the California Department of Justice, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, for example. And our partnership is very, very strong. So when there's ever a hate crime or a hate incident that happens, we throw all the resources on it. If you remember the elderly couple in Roland Heights that was pistol whipped and robbed, there was video of it. We have all 3 suspects in custody. Same thing with what happened in Diamond Bar in the protest. The guy tried to drive through, in custody. Hacienda Heights, the store clerk who was assaulted, that person's in custody. And then the elderly rideshare driver in South El Monte who was pistol whipped and robbed, that person's in custody. So if it happens, we have 0 tolerance, and an assault on you is an assault on me. We'll treat everyone as family, and we're going to go after them like gangbusters. And it's working.
ចាគឺថាចំពោះការអំពើអក្រិតកម្មផ្នែកខាងស្អប់ចំពោះជនជាតិណាមួយគឺថាវាគឺជាអំពើអក្រិតកម្មហើយក្នុងនោះក៏មានតាក់ទងចំពោះខាងការប្រើប្រាស់នៅអាវុធផងដែរហើយឧទាហរណ៍ដូចជាមានរឿងរ៉ាវកើតឡើងចំពោះក្រុមគ្រួសារដែលគាត់រស់នៅខាង Roland High ហើយនឹងបានធ្វើការពួក ទាំងអស់នោះបានអំពើឃាតកម្មទៅលើរូបគាត់នោះគឺគេត្រូវបានចាប់ហើយចាចាប់ហើយគឺរឿងរ៉ាវមានច្រើនទៀតនៅខាង Elmonte ហើយនឹងអ្វីនឹងដែលគេចាក់សម្រាប់បុគ្គលណាម្នាក់ដោយសារអំពើការស្អប់ខ្ពើមរើសរអើងនោះគឺថាយើងចំពោះខ្ញុំគឺខ្ញុំអត់គ្រប់គ្រងទេគឺថាខ្ញុំមិនអោយមាន zero ការគ្រប់គ្រងទាំងអស់នោះទេ
Yeah, my name is Soken Sang. I'm a supervisor for Stops and Zones Long Beach Transit. So I'm pretty much in charge of all the bus stops at the city of Long Beach. And I think it's like a really popular topic right now. It's about homelessness. And I think we all have this issue about mental illness and the unhoused at our bus stops. And the thing is, I feel like we're not getting enough support in the city of Long Beach as far as moving them along so that way we can have our elders in our community have a place for them to sit down and ride our bus stops. That's the thing that I have as a challenge. It's like a everyday, like it's like ongoing. It's like nonstop. So I feel like there's not enough support for our police force. So I just wanted to know if there's any way that we could get more support for, as far as our people in our community that rides our bus. Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
ខ្ញុំឈ្មោះសុកខុនសេងហើយខ្ញុំធ្វើការនៅខាង Long Beach ខាងកន្លែង Transit Long Beach Transit ហ្នឹងកន្លែងបោះណាហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំមានបញ្ហាចង់សួរពីរឿងអ្នកដែលអត់មានផ្ទះសម្បែងជនអនាថាហើយទៅហើយនឹងអ្នកបញ្ហាខួរក្បាលនោះគឺថាគាត់បានទៅគេងនៅតាកន្លែង bus stop ហ្នឹងហើយវាធ្វើឲ្យមានការពិបាកចំពោះអ្នកដែលទៅធ្វើការជិះបោះនៅទីនោះម្ល៉េះហើយខ្ញុំគិតថាយើងអត់មានការគ្រប់គ្រងសោះអំពីខាងក្រសួងប៉ូលីសនៅទីក្រុង Long Beach ហេតុដូច្នេះហើយគឺថាខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងថាតើអ្នកត្រូវធ្វើយ៉ាងណា
Well, I can tell you if you feel like you don't have a lot of support, I can trace it all back to the mayor of Long Beach and the chief of police of Long Beach right there. You know them both. And they are literally the problem. It's not the cops on the line. They get direction from above. And right now, when you don't have an emphasis on law and order and regulating public space like we've spoken here today, that's what happens. People claim it for themselves. It should not be that way. We can't regulate public space. The boardwalk in Venice is clear all the way across. Why? Because we work together. We got everyone's shelter, got the boardwalk open, the tourists are back, the shops are open. That's the way it's supposed to be in all of LA County. We can't do that. We got to think big, aim big.
គឺថា បើសិនជាអ្នកចង់ឲ្យមានការគ្រប់គ្រងនៅទីក្រុងឡុងបេតរបស់យើងគឺថាខ្ញុំមិនបន្ទោសទៅដល់ខាងក្រសួងប៉ូលីសឬក៏ប៉ូលីសធ្វើការងារនោះទេគឺថាខ្ញុំបន្ទោសទៅលើចៅហ្វាយក្រុងរបស់យើងគឺថាគាត់អត់មានការទទួលខុសត្រូវទេហើយជាពិសេសគឺថាបើសិនជាដូចអ្នកមើលហើយនៅ Venice Beach គឺថាបើសិនជាយើងមានកន្លែងដែលសាធារណៈសម្រាប់ជនអនាថាគាត់ស្នាក់នៅគឺថាគាត់នឹងទៅស្នាក់នៅទីនោះតែបើសិនជាយើងធ្វើការបណ្ដឹងចេញកុំឲ្យគាត់ស្នាក់នៅទីនោះគាត់ស្នាក់ទេដូចនៅ Venice Beach Walk អញ្ចឹងគឺថាយើងឃើញហើយអត់មានអ្នកជនអនាថាដេកនៅទីនេះទេហើយឥឡូវនេះកន្លែងនោះគឺថាយើងធ្វើការបានល្អហើយយើងបង្កើតឲ្យមានអ្នក tourist មកកំសាន្តមកធ្វើដំណើរកំសាន្តនៅទីនោះហើយអ្នករស់ស៊ីអីបានមកវិញដែរ
But I want to thank everyone for being so attentive. Your questions were right on the money, on point, because you're talking about the things that everyone's worried about. And we're dedicated to working for the same goals, make our place safer for everyone, especially for the little ones.
ចាសូមអរគុណចំពោះបងចាតែដៃចាសូមអរគុណចំពោះបងប្អូនអរគ្នាដែលបានមកចូលរួមនៅទីនេះហើយគឺថាយើងត្រូវតែធ្វើការសហការជាមួយគ្នាដើម្បីទៅដល់គោលដៅរបស់យើងទាំងអស់គ្នាដើម្បីឲ្យប្រជាជននឹងជាបានរស់នៅដោយសុខសប្បាយជាពិសេសក្មេងទូចៗណាយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងចង់ឃើញកន្លែងរស់នៅដោយសុខសប្បាយទាំងអស់គ្នាចាសូមអរគុណ
បាទខ្ញុំក៏សូមអរគុណដល់អ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាដែលបានជួយមកហើយសូមអរគុណដល់លោក Alex Villanueva ដែលបានអញ្ជើញមកចូលរួមក្នុងកម្មវិធីនេះហើយយើងក៏បានសួរគាត់ជាច្រើនហើយចម្លើយរបស់គាត់គឺល្អច្បាស់លាស់ដែលយើងនឹងអាចថាតើអ្នកណាជាតំណាងយើងតទៅអនាគតទៀតបាទសូមអរគុណបាទហើយសូមជម្រាបលា